Namanda, 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 Namanda. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Shotsuki service for August. I'd like to maybe a special welcome for all our Shotsuki families who are able to join us. It's always special when the Shotsuki families come to the temple and we have a bigger group at the beginning of the month, and it's such a special service that it's nice to see when everyone comes in like that. So today you will notice that we have the Sloth family joining us, Sadie, father, and mom and baby, Sho and Suki. So the parents have their masks on and gloves on, and so continuing to remind us to be careful, to look out for other people and to look out for ourselves, and it's a safer way to be for our families and people in our circle. And so trying to get a hold of the conditions with the virus. And so they also have their onenju on, so they are ready for service. So I'd like to go over the Shotsuki service order, and today we're going to have the reading of the three treasures. And then we'll have the Hyogakumon announcing the purpose of this gathering, the Shotsuki service for August. And then we'll have the reading of the Shotsuki names. And at that time, please come up and offer incense here, there, at your homes, however you have set up. Following the reading of the names, I'll go up to my seat, we'll chant the Sanbujo and the Amida Kyo, okay? So hopefully your own altars, Obutsudan, are set up properly, and you have flowers and fruits adorning your altar, and maybe whatever you have set up to do the Oshoko, incense, or marbles, pebbles, petals, something that you have prepared for this service, okay? So with that, we will begin. Please join me in the reading of the three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teachings. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Hyogakumon, please join me in Gassho. Today, on this occasion of the Shotsuki service for the month of August, members of the Buddhist temple of Alameda have reverently come before Amida in memory of their beloved. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages. Namo Kie Butsu, Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Please repeat the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 Namanda. These are the Shotsuki names for August. Abe, Masako, Ando, Yoshio, DiStefano, Ethel, Norel, Furuzawa, Infant, Masatomi, Hashimoto, Hiroko, Hashimoto, Jimmy, Hashimoto, Yasuhiko, Hattori, Kazuye, Hedani, Kyoko, Higashi, Kazuko, Hirotsuka, Infant, Honda, Tatsuo, Sue, Brian Wei, Ikegaki, Yoshio, Imazumi, Nobue, Inoue, Tomio, Ishii, Infant, Isamu, Iwahashi, Paul K, Kanzaki, Kiyoshi, Kataoka, Masao, Kawauchi, Infant, Izumi, Kitashima, Roy, Konishi, Pat T, Kuge, Naoyoshi, Marubayashi, Infant, Shinobu, Matsubara, Taichi, Matsumoto, Infant, Chiyoko, Michisaki, Wakataro, Mitani, Kyoko, Miyawaki, Takao, Mori, Kazuo, Mune, Hisataro, Nakamura, Hideko, Nagasugi, Kunio, Nishida, Ichiro, Oba, Toji, Oishi, Tsugi, Okamoto, Virginia T, Saito, Yoshi, Sakamoto, Tsuneji, Shibata, Yoshio, Shimada, Kazuo, Shirai, Infant, Akira, Shiraishi, Ushitaro, Sugino, Maki, Sugiyama, Kimiko, Takahashi, Takashi, Takao, Mitsue, Takara, Infant, Isamu, Takeda, Mildred, Takeda, Shizu, Tamura, Mana, Terao, Ura, Tsuchiya, Miyano, Tsurumoto, Matsutaro, Uchiyama, Fui, Uo, Shoichi, Ushijima, James K, Wada, Mitsue, Yamasaki, Infant, Tomie, Yamashita, Furu, Yamashita, Haruno, Yamashita, Masao, Yamashita, Shoichi, Yamashita, Toshio, Yanagi, Kazutomo, Yoriji, Ichi. These are the Shotsuki names for the month of August. If there are additions or corrections, please notify the office. And now we'll have the chanting of the Sambujo and Abida Kyo. Namanda, 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 Namanda. 六音如来ビクシュ千人150人空海勢大アラカン首相地式長老シャリホマカモケンレンマカカショマカカセネンマカクチラリアタシュリアンダガナダアナンダラゴラトボンナダイビンズルアラダカルダイマカコヒンナアクラアヌルラニョゼト初代弟子病床菩薩マカサモンジュシリオジヤイタモサケンダカダイモサ上昇人サヨニョゼト初代模写有釈大官人と無料商店大祝二次文語長老シャリオ重税裁法多十万六分道世界明暗極楽合道無分語阿弥陀根源在説法シャリオ移動が公明意極楽合国修上部祝単十小楽公明極楽シャリオ極楽国道七十乱十七十乱も七十五十改正司法相違尿税公非国明暗極楽シャリオ極楽国道七法地白六水十万五種地帯順に本社富士支援街道金言ルリありご上場老閣役位金言ルリあり社交釈州名の離言直視地中連芸大尿車輪小式証拠大式陽光釈式釈光白式白光微妙高血シャリオ国羅国道上重尿税空毒将軍ルシャリホ異部国道調査天学黄金二次昼夜六時二遊万だらけ広告修上上位昇誕各位英国上州妙家空用他法十万六分即位直時伝統音楽本時期教業シャリオ国羅国道上重量税空力将軍物資シャリオ非国上修十奇妙雑式市長百国弱法務シャリ下領便が愚名市長税所首長昭夜六時水和芸音高音年長高根合力七母大運小道運行税東方合同修上門税音に開実年仏年法年相シャリ用尿物一長実税祭王将少々医者が異部国道無三幕主シャリ法合部国道商務三幕道司名他教実税小州長改税阿弥陀仏欲量法温泉流園芸少佐シャリ法異部国道異風水道 逆千十学同時草門税恩赦開示年上年分年法年相死心者利用公部国土長寿領税功徳将軍Silent meditation. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, 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 Namanda. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Good morning again. Welcome to this Shotsuki service. And I always like to point out that the Shotsuki service is such a special service as we not only acknowledge the family members that we have lost, but through them, they become our connection. They become a part of Amida. And so through recognizing them, we are recognizing Amida and all our connections to the infinite. And so particularly this month, the August Shotsuki, it's very appropriate to consider the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This year is the 75th anniversary of that occasion, August 6th and August 9th, when the bombs were dropped. And there were 105,000 people died in both those cities combined. And if you add the injuries, 199,000 people. That's a huge number of people to be affected immediately. And you can compare that to the numbers that we see on the news today. Many of you may have heard the story of Takashi Tanemori, He was a survivor of the Hiroshima bombing, and he lived in Berkeley, California. And so some of you might even know him or have read stories about him. And so, very touching story that he was 8 years old when he was in Japan, and he had gone to school that morning a little bit early because he wanted to meet his friends, and they always played some hide and seek before the classes would begin. And so he hurried over there to go to play these games that he and his friends would play. And so that morning is when the bomb dropped, and he remembers the white flash, and he lost 6 members of his family, both his parents, both his grandparents, and 2 of his sisters. And so he and his younger brother and 2 sisters were all that remained of his family. And when he was 19, he came over to America, and he had the thoughts since that time and coming over here that he wanted to get even. He wanted revenge against the Americans. He wanted to come and get even. And he said, the Americans dropped the bomb. They destroyed my family, and especially losing my dad. My dad was like the sun, the captain of the ship, and Americans put me through all of this. And so with that thought, carrying this thought, this is the purpose of his life, was to get even with America. And he came here to live and to see what he could do. And so he lived in a number of places, but describing that one scene, a flash came, the sky turned the brightest, purest white. I can't describe it. And he heard a voice saying, I'm burning, please help me. And then the voice stopped. And he remembered he was in the rubble, and a Japanese soldier pulled him out of the rubble, carried him to the riverbank, the river that runs through Hiroshima. And so there he was able to cool off his burns. And while he was going through that, another woman walked by calling her children, and she was carrying a child. And as the woman passed by, he saw that the baby had lost its head. So she's just carrying this body, and just that image just stayed with him forever, his whole life. And so living in Berkeley, a couple of things happened. As he got older, he started to lose his eyesight, and before that he had a heart attack. So gradually he had become blind, and these things kind of changed his direction as he considered the revenge that he had hoped for, and he had more of a heart of gratitude, of being able to survive these things. And still today, I believe last year anyway, he was going to different locations and telling about his experiences, so people would be able to hear of the effects of this bomb dropping and the effect of an actual person, rather than hearing about it, someone who was there. And when I hear this story, I remember beginning studies at the Institute of Buddhist Studies, and Kusada Sensei, he was also a survivor, and every year he would make a trip to Japan, and he would have medical exams, and they would keep records of all the survivors and what is happening to them physically, and testing all these things. So annual tests that he would go through. And so hearing about that was something that stayed with me, and to hear about this person who had gone through all that and has lost his sight, and through that he began to give talks at different grammar schools and gatherings, and talking to the people. What he wanted to convey is that this such a terrible, tragic thing had to happen, that he had to live through, but through that they can know just how real it is. And so he wanted that to be his position, that he could voice this and share this world experience to all these younger ones, people, teachers and parents and children, as he talked to their classes, and they could see him, and he would go all over Northern California, Marin County, Tracy, Walnut Creek, Berkeley, and these are schools that are right nearby for us, so all the more it is closer. And so we kind of have a sense, we are able to see the limitations of human wisdom and compassion, and not only at the individual level, but at the national level. World leaders who are making these types of decisions that bring so much pain and suffering to people of the world, and we see that it happened then, and there are occasions now that decisions are made and people are affected, and so we see this, and so because we are close to these kinds of experiences, we know people who have felt this kind of pain and damaging, that we should never forget that and always have that as a guide for us to assist people to be able to connect to a larger than human thoughts of wisdom and compassion, to move away from the limited ignorance that we are grounded in, and to be able to recognize a greater infinite wisdom and compassion. Here we call it Alameda, but it is there for us to be able to guide us. So with that, I'd like to thank you for joining this Shotsuki service. Please join me in Gassho, and we will conclude this service. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, 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 Namanda. Thank you very much for being here. Please come up in Oshoko here and at your homes. Next week will be our All Beings service. Usually Diane gives a very nice talk, and you'll have to settle for me, but we'll be here to enjoy, sit together, chanting together with our All Beings service next week. Thank you.